I'm Bily Foster, and I'm that iPad guy. Called that because I've almost always got an iPad with me, and in some cases, two. Today, we're going to be talking about waterproofing.
This weekend, I was invited to Wet n Wild by some friends I made on Facebook, and I'm sure you can tell from the name, water is involved. It's an aquatic park just north of here. Normally, it would be the perfect time for me to take my GoPro camera and get some footage. However, this is currently down and out for the count, prepping to go in for some repair. So what's a guy to do? Well, I could take my point and shoot, but it's getting old, and I'm not really ready to replace it just yet. And I don't want to invest in housing for it and then be concerned that the next camera I get won't fit or will limit my options. So what's the next best camera that I have available? Well, my iPhone. More specifically, my iPhone 4 that I used before the 4S that I have now. But how do I waterproof it? I've seen some waterproofing procedures, but nothing with spectacular results. And then I remembered hearing about a case called Lifeproof. So I did a little Googling, a little research, watched a few YouTube videos, and I decided to go ahead and give it a shot. And I have to say that this case works spectacularly well. I'm very pleased at the results from both the video and the photos that I was able to take while in the water, including a few videos of going down the water slides, which you can find on my YouTube channel if you want to see more. But here's a sample.
I love the dip.
Yeah, too, it's cool.
Woo!
The case creates a vacuum seal to prevent water from getting into your phone. It's also built to military grade standards, and the case is very, very tough, yet it doesn't add a lot of bulk or weight to the phone amazingly. However, for me, on a daily basis, it's not a case that I would want to use. I'm not that rough on my devices. In fact, I kind of baby them. However, I'm also not in any real rough environments. If I were constantly out in the field, and I mean a real field, then I could see having a case like this on a regular basis, day in and day out. And those are the kinds of people that are really going to appreciate this type of case. What you do is you put the phone in, and then you just snap it together. And there you go. Now, when the case is on, the touch does work. However, I'll say it's not as sensitive. Of course, a little air gets captured inside of there, so you have a bubble type effect as you press down on the cover until it actually touches the screen. And sometimes you get a popping type feel. But then again, it works. And for the situation, it worked perfect for what I wanted to accomplish. Since I'm going to be using this on my older iPhone instead of my daily iPhone, this works great for me. The headphone port is still accessible through a screw-in cap right here. However, your best bet is to use an adapter that comes with to hook up external audio. And it screws right on in, so that way you keep the seal. It also comes with a nifty spare cap attached to the cable. The 30-pin dock connector is still accessible through a flip-out port here that has its own seal to make sure that water doesn't get into the precious iPhone. And this is the Lifeproof iPhone case. It's about $80, a little on the high side, but if you need this kind of protection, it's way cheaper than replacing your phone. They do not have an iPad case yet. However, I see that one's coming soon, and I'm interested in getting my hot little hands on one or two. Okay, quick note. In case you haven't heard, the latest build of iOS 6 beta, the YouTube app has been removed. Now, before you go screaming bloody murder after the heads of Apple, you need to have a little context. The YouTube app currently supplied on your phone is built, designed, and maintained by Apple, and in a 5-year agreement that they had with YouTube. That time has come for that agreement to end, and for both companies to go on their merry little ways. And this is actually a good thing. Now, YouTube has control of their own app, inputting the features that they want, including ties to Google+, the Google Play Video Store, and monetization, none of which Apple would have taken the time to do with the way it stands today. I do think it's crappy that Apple's answer to people questioning them was, you can always access YouTube through Safari. The reality is both companies knew that this was coming, and we are just now learning about it. I hope, that Google will be ready by the time iOS 6 launches, and they'll have a YouTube app in the App Store ready for you to go get. The absolute worst case scenario, yes, you would have to use Safari if Google didn't put out a YouTube app. And I couldn't imagine why they wouldn't want to, because it really doesn't make any sense. There are plenty of other applications that you can actually use to browse YouTube as well. They would just be cutting off their own feet by not making one. So there's no need to get your tech panties in a wad. This is going to be good in the long run. There just may be a period of adjustment. So that wraps up another episode of That iPad Guy. Thanks for watching. Oh, and before we go, just a note. Last week's episode may seem a little different, aka no iPads and a different opening, but that's because I actually used my iPad to record and edit the episode entirely on the iPad itself. So I've been trying a little bit more experimenting, and there may be another episode or two where I'll do that, so bear with me as we progress through all of this. It's just me trying out some new things. Also, I want to send a quick shout out to Jeff and the guys for the invite to Wet n Wild. It was great fun, filled, water-soaked day, and I just had a blast. Thanks again. Also, thanks for watching. Be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, or circle me on Google+, and visit thatipadguy.com to subscribe. See you next time!